Okay, so we were just talking about the flat objects called the battens, right? And we've got the picture of the battens here, and they are used to spread apart the yarn on a loom. All of these things are things that we're going to talk about as the story comes along. Other things that are really important to know. We've got the yucca plant, right, which is a vegetable that grows in the Navajo reservation. And a reservation is where they all live in America, okay? And then we've got a couple of other things too. We've got the bulbs of the yucca plant, and they are used to dye the rug. And what I mean by dye is not like bleh, right? But what I mean by that is to color it. So we have different colors like blue and yellow, and in this case, gold and green. And all of these things can be used to color the rug. Okay? So, in addition to that, we have a couple of other things. We have the roots of the yucca plant used for red dye, right? The coloring component. And then, as we scroll down some, we have what is called the yarn. And the yarn is really, really important to the rug making process because the yarn is all made for the rug. So one rug, a big one, right? Maybe even as big as this board, is going to be made out of a ton of pieces of yarn. Okay? And they're going to have to use the loom, which we'll look at momentarily, in order to weave it all together. Okay, so we've talked about a lot of terms so far, and we're going to review them in a little bit more detail, but we've got a couple more to talk about, okay? Just at the end here. Good. So when people are weaving at a loom, they use what is called the comb. Okay? And the comb helps us to move easily through the yarn so that we can put it and weave it all together, right? And I know that this process sounds crazy, and you're sitting here like, Mr. D, we have no idea what you are talking about. But I don't want you to worry about that yet because it'll come. Are you with me? Give me a thumbs up if you're with me. Nice. Okay. You guys are brave. Okay. All right. So we also learn about the different things that make yellow dye. Remember the thing that is used to color the yarn. And then finally, we have the person that is referred to as our weaver. And in this portion, it's a young woman, right? But men could weave too into beautiful designs, right? And finally, we have our last picture here. We are going to end up with our final product, and our final product is Glen May's rug. Okay, so we got to learn how to put it all together, right? So we've learned a couple of terms, and let's review them. So we know that we are making a what? Good, we're making a rug, exactly. And in order to make a rug, what are, two things that you need? Think about it for a second. Ooh, good, okay. We need yarn, excellent. And what else do we need? Oh, exactly, we need a weaver. What does the weaver do? Yeah, the weaver puts the yarn together to make a rug. Good. And what are some of the other components of a rug? Oh, are you looking up there? Yes, good. We also have dye, right? And dye is the thing that makes the rug beautiful colors. What are some colors that a rug could be? Raise your hands. Yeah, good. Yellow. Ooh, green. Excellent. Gold. Good, good. Oh, red too. And where do a lot of these dyes come from? Do you remember? This is a tough one. Turn to your neighbor and talk about it for a second. You guys have something? Good. Okay, where does it come from? Yes, it is a plant. Does anyone remember the name? Right, it's called a yucca plant, right? Okay, good. So, are you guys ready to move on to the story? Awesome. Okay, I'm going to scroll down a little bit. Here we go. So here's our cover, and we've got our narrator and the goat, who in this case are the same person, okay? Or animal for that matter. So let us begin. The story starts and it says, "My name is Geraldine, and I live near a place called Window Rock with my Navajo friend, Glen May. It's called Window Rock because it has a big round hole in it that looks like a window open to the sky." Do you guys remember Window Rock? Yeah, good. It had that big hole in it, right? Definitely. So that's where Geraldine, our goat, and Glen May live. So let's find out a little bit about their story. Well, they certainly look like good friends, huh? All right, so Glen May is called Glen May most of the time because it's easier to say her Indian name, Gli Nashpa. In English, that means something like female warrior, right? Like the Navajo tribes. But she's really a Navajo weaver. And remember, we talked about this? They don't all have to be big, strong warriors because someone has to weave and put the yarn together to make things, right? So, let's find out more about Glen May. Good. So, one day, Glen May decided to weave a rug. Okay? So it looks like here her goat friend, right? And this is our narrator. And Glen May are sitting down, and what is she holding in her hands? Does anyone remember? Yes, good. Big scissors. And what do we call those? Exactly. We call them shears. Good. So let's find out. It says, "I remember it was a warm, sunny afternoon. Glen May had spent most of the morning sharpening a large pair of scissors, right? I had no idea what she was going to use them for, but it didn't take me long to find out. Do you know what she's going to use them for? Ha, you got it. To make a rug, exactly. But what is she probably going to cut with them? Yes, excellent. The yarn. Good. Let's find out if we're right. Wait a second. She's not cutting the yarn. She's cutting the sheep. But I don't think he's very hurt. He looks pretty peaceful. Oh, what is she doing? Oh, have you read this book before? You sure? Okay. Well, yeah, she's cutting the wool off the sheep to use as yarn. Exactly. Let's find out if we're right. And it says, "Before I knew what was happening, I was on the ground and Glen May was clipping off my wool in great long strands. It's called mohair, really, the hair of the sheep. It didn't hurt at all, but I admit I kicked up my heels some. I'm very ticklish." Woo, right? You guys know ticklish, don't you? Good. So, cutting all of it off of the sheep, let's find out what happens next. Oh my gosh, our sheep friend has no more hair. What is she going to use all of his hair for? What? Yep, probably to make a rug. Exactly. So let's find out, okay? I might have looked a little naked and silly afterwards, but my, did I feel nice and cool, right? So I decided to stick around and see what would happen next. How do you guys think Geraldine, the lamb or the sheep, would feel after losing all of their fur? Cold? Probably. It'd be like losing your jacket in the wintertime, right? Oh, did you just say refreshed? What does that mean? Oh, good, like drinking something cold. Probably, especially if it was hot in summer outside. Okay, so let's find out. So now it looks like she's hammering something. I think we're going to have to read on. The first thing Glen May did was chop up roots from the yucca plant. Do you guys remember the yucca plant? Good, you do, because what comes from the yucca plant? Yes, exactly, dye. And what does the dye do? What does it give us? Ooh, nice. Colors. Man, you guys are too good. I don't even need to be here today. Okay, from a yucca plant, the roots made a soapy, rich lather when she mixed them with water. So she's chopping and she's mixing, right? To make the what? The dye. Exactly. Oh, and look at Geraldine, even bringing some water to help. Oh, because it turns out that Geraldine is actually going to be washed with that water, right? Like taking a bath. Good. So she washed my wool in the suds until it was clean and white. Awesome. So first, the wool is going to become the what? Good, the yarn. And then what do you think they're going to have to do next now that the wool is all white? Yes, they're going to give it color. You guys are on fire right now. I love it. Good. So after the wool is all clean and wet, what does she do next? She dries the wool, right? Hangs it up for the sunshine to beat down on it. Good. After that, a little bit of me, you might say, was hung up in the sun to dry. When my wool was dry, Glenmay took out two large square combs with many teeth. Do you guys remember the combs from the picture? Who in here used a comb today? Yeah? Really? Okay, okay. Good. Because what do we use combs for? Oh, exactly, our hair, right? That's how we get it so fancy. But what do you think they use the comb for? Good, the wool, exactly. Nice, so let's read on. So next it looks like they comb the wool out, right? And we can see a picture of this here. And it says, by combing my wool between these carding combs, as they're called, she removed any bits of twigs or burrs and straightened out the fibers. She told me it helped make a smoother yarn for spinning. So that would be like you guys having a bunch of stuff in your hair, right? And then us using a comb to get that out. Maybe after you've been playing soccer, right? You've been rolling around in the dirt, and we gotta like get you clean. Good. And that's what she's doing to the wool. So this is when things get really hard. The next step is they spin the wool into yarn. And so all those big clumps of wool become long, long strands of yarn. And they use that yarn to do what? Yes. Oh, you guys are so smart. To make a rug. Exactly. So let's read about it. It says, then Glen May carefully started to spin, right, my wool one small bundle at a time into yarn. I was beginning to find out how it takes a long while to make a Navajo rug. And kind of a long while, right? But that's okay because I bet the end product will be so pretty. Okay. And then it says, again and again, Glen May twisted and pulled the wool. Then she spun it around a long, thin stick. Does anyone remember what that's called? Oh, that was a hard one, right? It's called a spindle. Long stick she called a spindle. As she twisted and pulled and spun, the finer, stronger, and smoother the yarn became. So now we have a little question for you guys. What are they going to do with all the yarn? I bet you guys can think about it. Wait. Think for a second. I want everyone to know. What's the name of our story? Exactly. They are going to make a rug. So good. So good. Ooh, so now they're going to go out and collect some different things they need for the rug. In America, we also call this a grocery list. When you write a bunch of things down that you have to go and buy, right? So she's got all the things she needs to go find. Let's see if she's successful. It says, a few days later, Glen May and I went for a walk. She said we were going to find some special plants she would use to make dye. And what does dye give us? Good. The color. Oh, you guys are on fire. I love it. Okay. So it looks like they're finding everything they need. And it says, I didn't know what dye meant, but do you guys know what dye means? Raise your hand if you know what dye means. Oh, come on. Matt, I know you know what dye means. Yeah, good, good. But it sounded like a picnic to me. I do love to eat plants. That's what got me in trouble. And why is he in trouble, do you think? Think about it for a second. Good, good. Okay, talk to your neighbor now. Who thinks they have a good answer? Yeah, exactly. Good. Okay, because he's eating all the plants, and they use the plants to make what? The dye. Nice. Well, let's see if they can make the rug, even though Glen May is eating everything. While Glen May was out looking for more plants, I ate every one she had already collected in her bucket. Whoa.